My spidey senses tell me this is gonna get fucking tasty, baby.
I will love it if we beat them. Love it.
There's a slice of cheese with Nico Giantsopoulos.
I have a dream.
Arnie, cut!
Bardler.
The fella in the green and white shirt.
The guys up in the joy have asked to be put back in their cells.
If you stop waffling, we might get some work done.
He has the goop, lad. He has the goop, lad.
Get out! Get out, Man United!
Origi!
Torres to give Chelsea a place in the Shane Long has done it.
Let me add a little bit of spice to that.
Is he a fucking space?
My grandmother had wheels, she would have been a bike.
I think I'm a special one.
I'm the normal one.
I never knew Stoke were that good.
Down to the floor, and I wanna. Right, that's enough of that.
Welcome everyone to the Only Fans Football Podcast for the fans, by the fans, episode 21. We're going to call this one the Adzi.
The Vágner love.
The Vágner love, everyone.
The Vágner love making a move to FC Midtjylland, I think, of Denmark. It's such a crude song, isn't it? I'm just listening to the lyrics now. Jesus whipped. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this one, Cran. It was an interesting weekend in Premier League football. Interesting week in life, Cran. We're free, baby.
Made for you, Adzi. You're going to be dealing with Sassy Cran in this episode.
COVID-riddled Sassy Cran, who's still...
You'd like that, wouldn't you? Oh.
Maybe I like the misery. Shout out to Mrs. Doyle of Father Ted. How was your week, Cran? I'm going to assume not great, but how did you get on in isolation?
My week was fine, Adzi. My week was... It was rough. I'm not going to say it was fine because it wasn't. It was a rough week of isolation from COVID. I'm still riddled, man. It's getting to me because this is the 8th to 9th day of it now, and I just keep testing positive. So I'm just gonna wait out. I know everyone's free. I know everyone's enjoying themselves. Everyone's vibing around the place. All the lads are out tonight, by the way. All my mates are out tonight. So it's sort of like a kick in the face in that sense. But
welcome everybody to the Only Fans Football Podcast therapy session.
But do you know what, Adzi? One thing that's getting me through it, and I'm going to talk about it a bit more later, but one thing that's getting through it is my PS5. God bless Sony. God bless all the folks over there, because if isolation was a thing in 1980 rather than 2022, it would be a lot harder. Yeah, how was your week, Adzi?
Cran, come here, look at my week was grand. Yeah, it was grand, man. And do you know what it is? I was listening back to the podcast last week, and me and you are the two worst predictors ever. So on last week's podcast, we both agreed that Nigeria would go far, maybe to the final of the AFCON, to which they got knocked out yesterday by Tunisia. So we were both completely wrong there. And I said the Buffalo Bills would win the Super Bowl, and they got knocked out by the Chiefs last night. So it's been a bad week in predictions, but other than that, it's been good, man. And I think we have the icebreaker coming, of course. But one of the things that big in Ireland this weekend, it feels like the mood of the country's been lifted, is it feels like things are getting back to normal. It's a bit strange because it just feels like COVID has disappeared when it's like still quite clearly here. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's what we've all waited for, and I'm absolutely buzzing. But it does kind of feel like, well, bam, we're back in action, baby. And back in action we were the weekend, Cran. So, of course, you know, I've been doing dry January. I've been repenting the alcohol. And to be fair, I wasn't really craving a drink up till the announcement, up until Friday evening. And Micheál Martin announced that, you know, the pub was be open properly from 6 o'clock on Saturday, and it was Saturday evening, Cran. I found it quite tough. I'm not gonna lie. Looking at everyone out, and I was like, oh, I'd love a gargle. And then last night rolled around, and myself, Dave, and Cottle, we went for a few. Well, I mean, I was drinking Guinness, but the lads are drinking cocktails in the infamous memas, of course. I feel like a broken record talking about, but we do love memas, and that got me thinking, Cran. As I'm sure, well, I hope you have something for this because I haven't quite got anything for it yet. But it got me thinking, what would I call a pub if I owned a pub, Cran? And I put it to the OnlyFans faithful. And I'm gonna start off with Craig, good friend of yourself, who simply replied, Kieran McGrath's gaff. What you think of that?
I mean, it's just so Craig, isn't it? Like, it really doesn't make sense. But continue.
We have a good one from Philly who says, I'd name it truth because truth isn't one thing, like Dublin isn't one thing. Now that's a bit of a riddle, Cran. I'm not gonna lie to you.
This Philly, Mystic Philly.
I haven't got the mental capacity to really take all that in. So if you can explain that one, I'll give you a fiver.
I suppose he means that truth can be interpreted as a lie as well. If you're telling a truth that's false, and then Dublin isn't Dublin because Dublin isn't it's riddled with urban sprawl. Maybe that's what he's saying. I don't know.
I've absolutely no idea what he means. I'm not gonna lie to you, but Philly, come here. We'll give you it this week. We'll give you a chance. What we
No, these are nonsensical. I'm not having this. Like, for fuck's sake.
Sending goes, I'd call it pub.
Okay.
Now, if that's not a person thing to say, what is it? You know what I mean? What do you mean you just call a pub? You have to be a bit creative now, Fran. Come on. But yes, we have one from Tom now who sends this one out to Dubliners. He'd call it the Mero, obviously a good Dubliner song, excuse me. Can't speak these days, man. It's too late and a bit hungover. But we move on to Dave, who would call it the McLaren's Pub, Cran. Now, do you know why he's calling it the McLaren's Pub? McLaren's is the pub in How I Met Your Mother, Cran.
Is it actually?
Yeah.
I've never watched that show before.
Yeah, it's actually decent. I would advise to watch it now, I have to say. It's a bit of a kind of stupid American kind of comedy, but it's decent. Jared goes with his pub being named the Bluffer's Bush. Do you like that one, Cran?
That's the best so far.
Jesus is weeping. What would you name your pub, Cran?
I have one written down here. It's my pub would be named Cran's Crack House. Crack spelled with CRAIC. House.
Oh,
crack,
so not actually
house.
Not actually like crack.
Yeah, it's crack,
no drugs allowed.
No
drugs allowed.
Strictly prohibited.
You see, when I put this up earlier, I was like, "Oh fuck, I'll give myself time to think of a name for a pub," and I'm sitting here and I still can't really think of one, to be honest. You see, I'd go with the alliteration. Like I'd name it like something like Adzi's, I don't know, Autobahn or some shit like that. But I don't really like the alliteration, Cran. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna call it the multicolored biro because I'm holding the multicolored biro in my hand.
That's creative. That's fair play.
Come here, look at. I have a picture of Divock Origi here as well. I was gonna try and shoehorn him in, but I think we'll leave it with that. And that's the icebreaker for this week, Grant. Thanks to everyone for putting their pubs in. I'm gonna give the award to Jer for the Bluffer's Bush.
Yeah,
that was my favourite one.
They're all pretty shy now, to be fair, but they're played to Jer. The Prem de la Prem,
the Prem de la Prem. If Prude was listening, she'd be quite happy.
Yeah.
Is that her name, Prude? Or I think it's Prue, is it?
Prue and Paul Hollywood.
Yeah, fuck them both.
He fucking gets a mention every episode as well. It's like a OnlyFans bingo and Senna and Paul Hollywood. Fuck's sake.
Yeah, and it was Dorothy Michael there for a period as well.
I wonder how he's keep.
Yeah, hopefully terribly. I'm not even know. Hopefully he's keeping well. He gives us great mileage. Like, you know what I mean? Where would we be without Dorothy Michael?
Yeah.
Probably still making a mediocre football podcast.
Adzi, we start with the Friday night kickoff.
Yeah.
The battle of the
a weird weekend, Cran, I thought, in the Premier League.
Oh yeah, it was.
Games being stopped left, right, and centre to fucking the floodlights in this game on marked and the bollocks, and then you had the drone and the Brentford game. But yeah, we start off
Vicarage Road, yeah.
Yeah. Watford 0, Norwich 3, Cran. give me your instant match reaction, as if you've just watched the match there.
Yeah, it's it's a shoulder shrug because I don't really care.
Yeah.
I got a text from Philly. He was watching this game and he was like, "Are you watching the Norwich Watford game?" And like, what sort of question is that to ask anyone? But I, I sort of went, I actually didn't know it was on because I didn't know this game was on, to be honest. But it ended up 3-0 to Norwich. I turned it on after 1-0. Joshua Sargent, what a fucking goal, Azzy, to make it 1-0.
Yeah. I mean, I can't move my leg like that, so I don't know how he can. Like, he scored. He actually got a goal. And to be fair, I remember we gave him grief at the start of the season when he missed an open goal against Brighton. And deservedly so. Like, it was a poor miss, but his performance is actually very good.
Yeah, he was
He done very well. And he's been doing kind of a job for Norwich recently where he just does a lot of running around, and it's kind of selfless in a way, but you have to get something from him eventually. And it was against Watford where it proved crucial because the first goal, as we said, was great play by Pukki as well. And then the second goal was lovely as well. So yeah, good win for Norwich. And
great header. And then the final goal was Adam Ida, I think. He hit it against Jurak Kuka.
Yeah.
And
an own
that
goal.
was an own goal. 3-0, Norwich ecstatic.
Yeah, do you know what it is, man? We're after being quite ruthless with our predictions this season in the sense of we keep saying Norwich are down. Well, maybe they're not. I remember Dave said it on a podcast. We ridiculed them, rightfully so, because Norwich were dust. But they're putting in some performances now, and it's kind of like, can they actually stay up? I don't see them staying up. I think, you know what I mean? I think they'll play Everton soon. And if they do, they might get something out of them. But it's teams like Everton, Newcastle, Southampton maybe that they'll get points off of. But I don't know. I still think they're dead and buried. But Josh Sargent, by the way, more goals than Jadon Sancho this season in the Premier League.
Oh man, stop. He actually had a very good game, though, to be fair. I think it's the first game I watched where he's played well. So
yeah.
To be fair, it's the first game I watched that Norwich has played well, full stop. So it wouldn't be hard. We move on.
True, very true. Everton 0, Aston Villa 1. Cran, the Saturday morning delight. I was watching this on Saturday morning with a nice cup of coffee and a few sausage rolls, having a grand now morning. It was a good game.
Sausage rolls were better, though, I'd say, were they?
Better than watching Everton, anyways. Yeah, yeah. The smallest person on the pitch scored from a corner. Work that one out. Like, come on, Everton. Richarlison comes back in. Calvert-Lewin starts. Like, they kind of put out their best team. And obviously Villa with Stevie G and Coutinho, they're their best team out as well. But Everton, they're just so bad. You know what I mean? And I'm not even slating here, Cran. I'm being genuine. They're genuinely awful. And you could write a list the length of Crow Park of problems with Everton. It's just a mad situation to be in for Everton. And look, I do think they'll stay up, but
it's not looking good.
Yeah, it's not looking good. But we just touch on Villa real quick. I thought Aston Villa are great. The best player to come from Coutinho moving to Aston Villa so far has been Buendia.
Yeah,
Buendia has been immense, and I think he's finally reaching that potential of that kind of expectancy that everyone had of him when he went to Villa for, was it 30 million, I think. So he's been very good. Obviously, he got the goal on the day, but Coutinho and Luka Dean down that left side were very good as well. I thought Luka Dean, and to be fair, Luka Dean isn't a bad player by any stretch of the imagination. He's a very good player. He's a skilled player. He's one of the better left backs in the league, and yeah, it's just a mad situation that you think of it, that Everton sold him to Aston Villa and then sacked the manager, and it's just a crazy situation to be in. But Luka Dean has more assists now for Aston Villa this season than he has for Everton all season. So it probably says a lot about his performances for Everton.
Brentford Wolves. This was a very interesting game, I thought.
Yeah, 1-2. Wolves with the win. The drone, man. Who in their right mind flew a bleeding drone over the stadium during the game, man? It was such a. I had Gillette Soccer Saturday on with Jeff and Tim Sherwood, unfortunately, and I had the Newcastle and Leeds match on the one time, but they kept coming back to this game. I think Clinton Morrison was looking at it. It's like there's just a drown, Jeff. There's just a drown up above the stadium after coming off. And it's like, yeah, a bit of context be nice, like, you know what I mean? It's just it's mad. Who's yeah, rare. I don't know if you've heard about the Russians in the news today, but it could very well have been Putin on the bus.
They're scouting locations for the missiles. It's off the coast of the Irish Sea, and it's Brentford Community Stadium as well.
Yeah. Quick thing about Brentford though. Actually, I don't think we mentioned it last week, and it was kind of when the news broke as well. But Christian Eriksen looks to be making a return.
When I came back, Joe Moutinho, what fuck finish that was!
Honestly, man, outside of the boot, the swerve on it, it was. If you could describe that goal in one word, and I'll probably end up using different to you, but that goal was just sexy. Absolutely sexy. The finish, the curl, everything about it is just a beautiful goal. And Brentford losing at home again. The home form this season has been great. They're kind of struggling, but Ivan Toney got a new haircut and he scored another goal. So he looks to be if he can. They're kind of relying on Toney, and it's a bit of a hard one because he's definitely a player. He has great ability, but is he a player that you want to rely on? Probably not. You know, I do really rate him, but he needs more support from his teammates, anyways, because he's struggling to keep them going. You know,
you look at his stats for Brentford in the Premier League this season: 6 goals in 21 games.
Yeah,
it's not bad for a struggling team, but as opposed to last season when he had that great season, he's not reaching those levels, and you would expect that drop off. But you know, Brentford probably need reinforcement.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that Ruben Neves goal was beautiful, but then at the end of the game, when it finished 2-1, Thomas Frank got sent off.
Yeah, was going on a mad one, and I think that's just frustration on his part because he's taking the team from Championship up to the Premier League, and when you look at their starting 11, there's not a whole lot different from a Championship side that they were. You know, I think Christopher Oyer at the back is probably the main one. But again, it's a bit of an awkward situation to be in because you don't want to bring in too many players. Like I know Wissa came in. I don't think he's a player you can rely on. I think they do need kind of like a seasoned Premier League player. I think Eriksen could be a great boy if he comes back and, if he's fully fit and if he's able to play. It could be a great sign. But yeah, I still think Brentford to stay up now, to be fair.
And what about Wolves? Are you impressed?
Nah, not really. No, they won the game with 10 men, didn't they? So it's a good result. Do you know what? They're going under the radar a bit, man, to be fair. Again, they're missing Huang He-Chan at the minute, which is a tough loss. But again, Jimenez didn't start on Saturday either, I don't think. So they are struggling a bit squad-wise as well. But I think Wolves, again, will be grand. I don't think they have anything to worry about. Whether they can break into Europe, I doubt it.
We move on to Leeds versus Newcastle. Leeds at home in Ellen Road. And I have to say, I was very surprised to see Newcastle win this game. It was probably, I think Shearer was on Match of the Day and he said it was their best performance of the season so far. And I'd sort of like to echo those words because I think they won the midfield battle. And I think John Joe Shelby was actually very good in the game for a player who's so mediocre. Like he showed up. And I thought Alan Saint-Maximin as well was very good in the game as well. So Newcastle showed up against Leeds, and do you know what? 2 wins for 2 relegation teams. It's about to get fucking tasty, baby.
Yeah, it's a very big weekend for the likes of those teams because you wouldn't have thought, especially Norwich for me away to Watford. Now I know Watford are down there as well, and we didn't even talk about it, but Ranieri's after being sacked. I do think it's going to get taste now. I still, to be honest with you, I still think it's going to be Norwich, Newcastle, and Burnley going down. But at least a bit of form, makes that bit more interesting. Maybe Leeds and everything get dragged into it. But Shelby scores the free kick right through Melier. Now, if I'm a Leeds fan, if I'm I am fuming. But I do think when you're watching a young player grow, mistakes are inevitable. And I just think it was very poor on Saturday from him, and I would be fuming if I was a Leeds fan. I would be fuming with it, but at the same time, these are kind of things you take with young players. And look, a great result for Newcastle. They'll be happy. And I was looking at it on DSTV of India, I think it was. I do think it was Newcastle's best performance.
We'll move on to United versus West Ham. I was watching this game. It was boring to hell. Jesus Christ. Like, you sit down, you're in isolation, you want a bit entertaining football. You sit down, you watch that tripe. My God. Like, come on, play a bit of football. But yeah, I thought West Ham were very competitive with United. I think that was partly the reason why it was such a bad watch, because it was like no team was coming out on top. There was a lot of dueling going on. I thought Rice was excellent in the midfield for West Ham. Soucek as well. Good midfield West Ham have, but I think at the end of the day, United look more threatening. And I think that's the problem. Like Jared Bowen, he was excellent for West Ham on the day, but he really was the only threat they had. Like the likes of Fornals, Antonio, I don't know what's happened to Antonio. He's just become obsolete in the last few games after such a good start to the season. The end of the game was telling, because United had the likes of Rashford, Cavani going forward with Ronaldo. You know what I mean? That's going to win you the game on the counter rather than the front three West Ham have, even though they are such a good team. And they did compete with United on the day. It was the individual quality that showed in the end.
Yeah, essentially, like when the team has better players, most of the time they come out on top, and especially in those crucial moments of the last 10 minutes of the game, that's where the likes of Ronaldo and Cavani, and Rashford thrive. I think a stat that came out of that game was that's Rashford's fourth 90-plus minute winner, and I think it's the most in the Premier League ever. So when you have clutch players like that, it's good. It's definitely good for the likes of United. John Moss was the referee on the day, and he blew up for his first free kick 40 seconds into the game. Just tells you everything you need to know about John Moss, just slowing the game down. Every single throw in, he'll let the player take as much time as he wants, just because he can't run around the pitch. But yeah, Manchester United won, West Ham 0. And yeah, look, a good result for United. 2 good results in a week for United. And yeah, they'll be happy with that.
We'll move on to the title race. Southampton versus Man City. There's only a one horse in this race. Southampton put it up to Man City. And, I think you spoke of a few weeks earlier. You were like, there's not enough teams that put it up to them, that gave them a good game. And I think Southampton did a good job on that this weekend. They scored a goal early. And I think that's what you have to do against them. Walker Peters runs down the line, scores a beautiful. It was similar to the Gianlucino outside the boot finish. And then they held out all the way to the 65th. That's when City got that header. The game just died off then. Ended 1-1. And it's like the first time City have dropped points in 12 games. So,
yeah,
it's not looking good for the rest of us. But
yeah, it's the first time City have dropped points since October in the league. And I was baffled by that. And it's just a great run they're on. You know what I mean? It's just a cracking run they're on. And it's no surprise that they're 9 points ahead of us now at the minute, and then 6 if we beat them, or if we win our game in hand, and then 3 if we beat them. So, but that's a lot of ifs. You know what I mean? You're kind of looking for a lot of things to swing your way. And look, we'll talk about Liverpool's performance now in a few minutes. But yeah, look, at City have just been another animal, and for me, I was massively shocked by the game on Saturday evening. A great result though for Southampton, to be fair.
Yeah, well, one of the performances that won him, it was Salisu. I think he was playing centre back, was he? He was just winning everything. I think he had like the most interceptions on the pitch by like
I have that written here actually. I have that written down here. So he had the most tackles, most successful interceptions, most clearances, most duels won, and most touches of the ball for Southampton. So unbelievable performance by him. You know what I mean? It really was. He was immense, and I remember at the start of the season when we done our predictions, I think I had Southampton to go down as kind of like a shock. And I I stated Salisu. I said he's fucking dire. And in the biggest game of the season, he comes in clutch, and the performance, man, it was generally for me, it's arguably performance of the season. by a single player. You know what I mean? And what other performance can I think of? I think of Salah against United and Old Trafford would be a great one. Foden against Liverpool in Anfield was great. You know what I mean? But this performance by Salah Silva was out of this world.
We move on to the Sunday game.
There was 4 Sunday games, Cram. 4 of them today, or 4 of them yesterday. Jeez, man, I'm still hungover. I'm still drunk. I'm not really. Arsenal 0, Burnley 0.
I'm not even going to speak. Do you want to speak? I don't want to speak.
No.
Like, come
Fucking
on.
shite, man.
I spoke about Arsenal before, and I think this is what's going to hold them back from getting to the European places, if not top 4. Like, dropping points at home to Burnley, of all people. Come on. Like, wake up. Smell the coffee. Burnley are going down. You need to be beating Burnley.
I'm kind of raging they haven't signed Andy Carroll yet. To be honest, that's kind of my big takeaway from it. But
Burnley they're a bit of a pest to play.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was just about to say they're a bunch of pests. I'm sure they're nice people now, but
poor result nonetheless for Arsenal. We move on to Palace against Liverpool, ladsy. Take it away, baby.
3-1 to the Reds in the end, in a game in which, how do I put this now without sounding like an idiot, but the drop-off in performance for Liverpool, man, in this game was sensational. And when I say that, I mean in a bad way, because the first half an hour, first 35, 40 minutes were as good as I've seen Liverpool play this season. The pressing, the passing, the movement, like it was akin to how we played in the season where we won the league. That's how impressive it was, and especially the pressing. Palace couldn't get out of half. Van Dijk scores a bullet header in the first half. He gets up brilliantly. Bam, back in the net, 1-0. And then it was Oxlade-Chamberlain who got the second one. And I slayed him a bit last week on the podcast, but overall, man, he's filled in the gap of Mane and Salah being missing, and he's filled it in quite well. There's 2 goals in as many weeks, and he's performed well. So 2-0, we're riding high, 30 minutes in, and then there was a ball over, I think it was Elise, over the back of Liverpool's defence, in behind. I think it was Mateta who got through and nearly scored. And from then on in, that's all Palace kept doing. We just kind of we didn't drop back. You know what I mean? We kept playing the same high press, high line at the back, but it just caused more problems than solving them. And I was baffled in the second half that Klopp didn't tell them, just drop back 5 yards, just drop back 5-10 yards there, and stop allowing them to play the ball over the top, even if it means losing out midfield, and the ball they keep the ball more in midfield and we haven't got it. That's fair enough, but don't be don't be acting the maggot and leaving so much space in behind, because that's where they get the goal eventually. The ball played in again by Elise, and it was Mateta who got onto it, who squared it to Edouard. Lovely finish, 2-1. And then it was very frustrating to watch because of the level of performance that we had in that first half an hour. You just thought Palace were going to score the whole time. You know what I mean? And it was worrying. It was worrying to look at. And in the end, we got a lucky penalty. It was never a penalty. Never in a million years a penalty. The VAR is an absolute shambles. We've talked about it before. I think the technology is good, but I think the referees are poor, and they're not going hand in hand. People will blame VAR and say VAR this, VAR, but it's not VAR, it's the referees. And for the referee to turn around and say, "No, go to the screen and look at that," because I think the penalty was mad. Fabinho scores it, and look, it's a good win for Liverpool. I'm buzzing with it. I said it yesterday to you. I'm delighted with it because we needed it. You know what I mean? When City drop points, you need to make those points up. You need to get those 3 points. We just have to keep winning our games and hope to God that City drop points at some stage,
I was about to say there, I was never worried about Liverpool in this game. I know you like to temper expectations, but I do think the reason I didn't watch this game was I was very confident Liverpool were going to beat Palace. They've only won 2 and 10, and those 2 were against Norwich and Everton. So it's like, why would you expect them to get results against Liverpool? But good win for Liverpool. I do think Palace have had a bit of a drop off. That's a bit worrying, but I think they'll stay up regardless.
They've only won 6 games this season, which I find amazing, and one of them being away to Man City. I find that stat amazing. Even at the game at Anfield, they were great up to a point, and it was just set pieces that let them down against us. So it's a bit of a sticky one for Palace, but I think they'll be grand, to be honest.
I suppose we'll move on to Leicester Brighton. I wasn't watching this game, but
No,
another goal for Patson Daka and another goal for Danny Welbeck. Yeah, I think Patson Daka's had a good upturn in form. I think he has 2 in his last 2 now. And Danny Welbeck as well, having a bit of a, what would you call it, a Ramontonda or a renaissance?
A renaissance, yeah. A renaissance.
Shout out Leonardo da Vinci and DiCaprio. But
one of the good guys.
I was actually watching Django Unchained yesterday. DiCaprio, unbelievable.
Good film, yeah.
Fair draw there, I suppose you call it. Leicester in 10th. Strange with Leicester, isn't it? They're a bit less consistent than they were last season. Rodgers sort of sneaking under the radar. Not a great season from him by any means.
Incredibly average, man.
Brighton
incredibly average.
I mean,
yeah. No, I actually, funny enough, Leicester are another team that I don't necessarily mind, but they're such an average side. I mean, I say this, they beat us over Christmas, and I'm sitting here thinking how, because even Spurs during the week came back in the last 2 minutes of the game to win a 3-2. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're a strange side, Leicester, and we're talking about Spurs being bottlers, but Leicester can bottle things as well. So look, it's a result where
they didn't bottle the league when it matters. That's all I'm saying. And Spurs did.
True, very true.
Moving on to Spurs, it's happened again. Tottenham Hotspur, it's happened again. 2-0 to Chelsea. Let me just soak in this one. 2-0 to Chelsea. Another win against Spurs. Spurs have been shambolic against us this season. They have not scored a goal, lads. We've played them 4 times and they haven't scored.
3 times and a Munchies have beaten them, which I think is hilarious.
I thought this was an excellent game from us. The first half wasn't great again. I said it in the chat. Our attackers are awful. They're just really bad at the moment, and they're struggling for consistency. And that was in the first half. I was saying that, and it did improve dramatically in the second half. But I just don't trust any of them at the moment. Like, you have the likes of Salah, you have the likes of Mane, you have the likes of Jota, who are consistently banging in goals. Now, regardless of what Dave thinks about Mane, he's more consistent than anything we have up front. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so absolutely.
It's a case of, we're Chelsea Football Club, we're champions of Europe, and we don't have any reliable attackers. Like, that's worrying. And in the second half, they actually showed up. And I was very surprised to see Ziyech, who's been so poor for 2 years. He's been awful. Mm-hmm. He's had a good game every 10 games. But in the last few games, I've noticed an upturn in form. And in this game specifically, he was absolutely brilliant. And the goal he scored, man, the creme de la creme.
Yeah, it was a lovely... Go on, sorry.
Curled into the top corner, the postage stamp, they call it. What a goal, Adzi.
Lovely left-foot finish, and he's waited 2 years for that goal, which I think is mad, because the level that Ziyech performed at for Ajax is mental, you know, and he comes into Chelsea and just decides he doesn't want to play. Now, look, a good win for Chelsea again. And like Liverpool, all we have to do is just keep winning games, keep putting pressure on City and hoping that City kind of fail along the line somewhere. I can't see it happening. But look, you're saying there about unreliable attackers. I personally disagree. I think you have a fountain of attackers who are, you know, cracking players. Maybe not, you know, as good as what Liverpool and Chelsea, or Liverpool and City are kind of working with. But I do think the likes of Havertz, you know, Werner, Mount, Pulisic, Ziyech, Lukaku, like, these are top performers. I think this break is coming at a great time for Chelsea, because I was reading somewhere that he's played a game every 3 days for the last 6 weeks, 6 or 7 weeks or something like that.
He's played the most games of any team, you know, in the league.
So you needed that rest, kind of, you know. But yeah, good result for Chelsea.
Tuchel, that's one thing Tuchel's playing, where he's very the players are very fatigued. But yeah, you're right. The break does come at the right time, and I don't think there's another league game till the 20th of February. Imagine.
Yeah.
So you're flying out to Saudi Arabia, come back fresh head on us, hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think we could get sucked into that title race only if Liverpool beat City and if they put pressure on them. That's the only way we can get sucked in. But I don't think it's really realistic at this point. I think it's between Liverpool and City. Right, God of the week, Edsy.
And my God of the week this week is the American Dream, the Stallion, the Shagger, Josh Sargent, for his 2 goals against Watford, for his luscious ginger perm, his scorpion kick, which was sensational. Josh Sargent, you have my heart. More goals than Sancho this season. What a player. Your God of the week.
I'm going to give it to Selisu, the Southampton centre-back. He was excellent. I think he could have done a show.
Absolutely. Your goal of the week, Cran.
Goal of the week. There's only one contender for me. Hakim Ziyech. What a goal! I don't.
Yeah, it was lovely.
You won't see a better goal this month. To be honest.
Yeah, I was going to give mine to Fabinho. No, I wasn't. I'm giving mine to Sarr. Oh, do you know what? I'll give it to Coutinho's goal.
Yeah.
Outside of the boot, lovely into the bottom corner, which was a great finish. Yeah. So, Joe Coutinho gets my goal of the week.
Sorry, I was cut off there, audio-wise. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening?
This fella Ronaldo is a cod.
And our cod of the week this week is
Mr. Emmanuel Dennis.
Someone we love on this podcast, let it be known, is Emmanuel Dennis. But he had an absolute shocker on Friday night against Norwich at home. Yeah, it was just a bit of mad one. Loads of people had him triple captained on fantasy football because he has a dual game week and then he just gets sent off.
I think it's very sad for all those loyal fantasy Premier League users. They just got screwed over by no other than Norwich. Imagine having your weekend ruined by Norwich. Norwich
and Josh Sargent.
Emmanuel Dennis played for them. Our Hall of Fame segment this week. We put the Hall of Fame up on our Instagram there recently. It's the
updated version. Yeah.
They're coming so thick and fast. It's hard for me to keep up, and I think I missed about 6 of them. So yeah, your Hall of Fame this week, Edson.
My Hall of Fame crown this week goes to Vágner Love, former CSKA Moscow player, Brazilian legend. I'm pretty sure he joined Midtjylland this week of Denmark, and we talked about it in the intro. I'm fucking buzzing he's back. What a player! What a cracking player!
Absolutely.
Your Hall of Fame, Cran.
A great FIFA 10 player. But
yeah.
I'm going to give my Hall of Fame to Red Dead Redemption 2, Asdi. I was talking about the PS5. Red Dead Redemption 2. What a game. It's my favourite game of all time, you know that? I'm really, really enjoying it. It's getting me through this isolation period. It's keep me sane. I get to be a cowboy again, which I haven't played that game in about 3 or 4 years. Honestly, recommend it to anyone. It's Hall of Fame material. I'm telling you, it's the best game so far.
Couldn't agree more. I think it's an absolute unbelievable game. Vágner Love up against Red Dead Redemption. Be sure to vote on our Instagram in the coming days. As most of our listeners will know, and we hope they're watching, Cran, don't we? AFCON has been taking place, Cran. And I said it earlier, but we completely got it wrong about Nigeria. So I'm gonna read through the draw first, right? So this is one side of the draw. We have Burkina Faso, who beat Gabon 7-6 on penalties. Crown. Did you see the keeper doing backflips?
Yeah. He did about 7 or 8 of them in a row, and then for good measure, he did 9.
It was sensational. Sensational from the Burkina Faso goalkeeper. It was Bertrand Traore.
Imagine got the one goal of us doing that Burkina after a night out.
It would be awful. Tunisia beat Nigeria 1-0, and it was a bit of a shock because Nigeria have been doing well. And as we literally said last week on the podcast, we did think they'd go all the way, but clearly not, because it was Wabi Kazri's Tunisia to beat them. And Kazri himself has actually been playing very well for Tunisia. So in the quarterfinals, it will be Burkina Faso against Tunisia. Who do you think's going through there?
Bit of a turn for the books, all right. I'm going to give it to Burkina Faso. I think that keeper's backflip will power them through that tie.
The spirit of the backflip. In the next game, we have Senegal versus Cape Verde. That's taking place tomorrow, the 25th of January. Yeah, I think Senegal so far, man, and it's a bit of a mad one. They only have one goal in the tournament, but they haven't conceded a goal either. So they've kind of been very stern to play against. Like, I mean, you're not getting great enjoyment out of them at all. But they're up against Cape Verde, Roberto Lopez of Rovers, up against Sadio Mane, and I, for one, hope Senegal smash them. And then Mali against Equatorial Guinea, you'd expect Mali to go through there. So that would be the quarter final if that's the case. On the other side of the draw, you have Guinea, who lost 1-0 to Gambia last night. Or was it earlier? I think it was earlier, wasn't it?
Gambia.
1-0 to Gambia. What a result for Gambia, who've had a mad tournament. They've been playing very well. Guinea went into the game with no Naby Keita, who was suspended. And it's a bit of a sad one because for Naby, he was playing unreal. He had 2 man of the matches out of 3 games he played in. He scored that screamer that we talked about last week. And then he was suspended for this game, and it was the game they ultimately lost to Musa Barrow's goal of Bologna. So yeah, Gambia through, and they'll play the winners of Cameroon and Comoros in the quarterfinals. Cameroon are through. So Cameroon up against Gambia. Cameroon have been doing unbelievable, man. Abu Bakar and Toko Ekambi for Cameroon have been unbelievable, and like you said, I do think Cameroon could go very, very far. The games on the 26th, Cran, sees Ivory Coast up against Egypt, Cran, in what could be the game of the tournament.
Could be. I think Ivory Coast will wipe the floor with them, though.
Yeah, I do as well. I think Salah can only do so much carrying, and he scored a lovely volley there the other week, but he hasn't really got going other than that. Ivory Coast, anyways, yeah. I reckon Ivory Coast. I said at the start, I think Ivory Coast will win it. So I think we're looking at potentially a Senegal and Ivory Coast final.
Yeah.
If they all go through to the final. But the last game is Morocco up against Malawi. Yeah, I have nothing really to say on that other than Morocco will probably go through.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the AFCON update for anyone who cares. Euro trash, Euro treasure, Cran. Where do you want to start? Do you want to take it away?
Yeah, I do. I'll start with Euro treasure. We'll start with a bit of nice news and some nice what would you call them? Nice bit of sentimentality around it, but also just a nice touch in general. Devin Plank of Excelsior in the Dutch league.
Yeah, go on, Excelsior.
Excelsior, name of a famous little lager as well.
Yeah.
If you know, Excelsior.
Yeah.
If you're at the bottom of the barrel, I think it's 40 cents a can. Not anymore, about €2 a can because
yeah, I'd say it's gone up now.
But yeah, Excelsior, nice lager and a good team as well because they gave this fella Devin Plank, who is struggling with chemo at the moment. They gave him a guard of honor onto the pitch. Obviously, Ajax 9-0 up at this point, but they brought him on. It was a nice touch. And I just think it was worthy Euro treasure because my heart was a bit touched by that. It was nice.
Yeah, I have the exact same thing.
You do you?
Yeah, the exact same thing. He's gone through chemotherapy for fibula cancer at the minute. And I'll be honest with you, Con, I'm an emotional man at the best of times, and especially this time of year. But yeah, I was getting a bit teary-eyed looking at it. It was very touching. It was very genuine from Ajax, you know what I mean? It was something that, they didn't have to do, no one had to do it, and to do it the way they did it was very heartwarming. Yeah, so absolutely, that's probably our most treasured Euro treasure. I'll be honest, it was a beautiful moment. Euro trash can.
Euro trash. Moving on to something negative now. Euro trash. So I'm going to give my Euro trash to Hertha Berlin in Germany because they are struggling at the moment. 13th in the Bundesliga. What can I say? I'm going to pivot onto their rivals now, Union Berlin, the fan-owned club. I think it's 100% fan-owned, Union.
I want to get over to it, man. I want to get over to Union.
They beat Borussia Mönchengladbach at the weekend 2-1. And they now go 4th in the Bundesliga. They move into the Champions League places. And for a team that wasn't in the Bundesliga a few years ago, it's a meteoric rise.
Yeah, it's very impressive. And I really like the Union Berlin jersey as well. They're a good side. That's a good one, Con.
And can you believe it? Red Bull Leipzig, a franchise-owned team, you could say. They're 6th. I thought that was nice, Adzi. 2 nice things that I picked
for
up.
a change.
2 negative people. But what do you have?
My Euro trash can is, so I sat down, picture me now in the house, okay? Big bottle of, I'm still drinking it now. Well, it's filled with water at the minute, but Volvic, touch of fruit, strawberry, sugar-free. Sat down on Saturday evening to look at Lazio and Atalanta. Atalanta, of course, the Serie A team I love, close to my heart, dear to my heart. And it was the worst game of football I've watched all season. It was dreadful. Everyone was out in the pub. I was at home watching this show, and it was awful. It was an awful experience. I'll be deadly serious with you. It was a terrible evening. Atalanta now find themselves 10 points off Inter Milan at top of the league. They're still in the top 4. They're 1 point ahead of Juve, and they have a game in hand. But that game on Saturday evening was fucking dreadful. Lazio aren't great either. You know what I mean? Lazio aren't the best. And Atalanta definitely aren't the best. But Atalanta went there, and I'd have put money on them smashing them. I'd have put money on them scoring a few goals, because that's why I like Atalanta, because you do get a few goals in the game. And it was just dreadful. Awful game of football.
What did it finish up? 0-0, was it?
0-0, yeah.
Oh, Jesus, Adzi. I feel bad for you now.
Move on, Cran, to Get Out,
Manchester. I said that.
This week, Cran, shout out to Alberto Moreno. This week, Cran, we're talking about, seeing as you've spent most of playing the PS5, we're talking about FIFA and FIFA's Team of the Year. Ultimate Team, of course, for anyone who plays it. I do personally enjoy it now. I will say that. I do think there's ways around. Like, you don't have to buy coins to have a good team necessarily, but you kind of have that know-how of the SBCs or whatever. But that's all irrelevant. We're going to be talking about, Cran, FIFA's Team of the Year. Now, I was going to say, did you see the official one? I was looking at it earlier, but I completely forget it. I'll try and remember it.
I think, Marquinhos is in it, which is just absolutely outrageous.
It's Donnarumma, Hakimi, Marquinhos, Ruben Diaz, João Cancelo, N'Golo Kante, Kevin De Bruyne, Jorginho, Lionel Messi, Robert Lewandowski, and Kylian Mbappe. That's the FIFA Team of the Year. And we're going to pick our own teams of the year, Cran. So will we kick off the goalkeeper?
Yeah, we will. I'm going to pick Edouard Mendy, man. I don't think, like, I'm not being biased here or anything, but he's had a great season. And I think him, if you look at his rise as a footballer, he retired, or he was on the verge of retiring. He was released by his club. He went from the 2nd division in France with Rennes. He got promoted in 2018. Chelsea scouted him. Peter Cech scouted him, recommended him. Went to Chelsea, won the Champions League, won the FIFA Best Goalkeeper. Now, if that's not telling you someone's worthy, if that doesn't tell you that he's worthy of a Team of the Year card on FIFA, then I don't know what does. Because I just think it's a fantastic rise of a career, and it's a sign that perseverance. If you work hard enough, you can achieve anything, and if you don't give up, you can achieve anything. And I think he's a good role model. So that's why I pick him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's a player as well that's overlooked a lot of times, isn't he? I think he kind of snaps at, he kind of uses his platform as well to kind of point that out, that, you know, that he's not in team this season. And it's not being arrogant or anything. He is generally a very good player. I'm going with Donnarumma. I think the Euros, we all remember quite fondly because of how it ended. That Euro final in Wembley was sensational, and he had a great tournament. He was unbelievable all tournament. he saved penalties and shootout as well. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Donnarumma for me. I think even getting the move to PSG as well, I think that's a big move. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Donnarumma. We move on to the back four. Do you want to go position by position or back four by back four?
Or sorry, we'll go back four by back four. My bad.
Yeah.
So I'll go with Cancelo left back. I'll go with Chiellini centre back. Or sorry, Bonucci centre back. My God, get those Italians mixed up. I think he's had a good season for Juve and for Italy as well. I think if Juve lost him, they'd be in a lot more trouble than they are, and that's saying something. So I'll go with him. I'll go for Ruben Diaz. I think he's had a very good season with City. Got them won the Premier League. He's winning the Premier League again, and he got the Champions League final. And I think he is that rock at the back for them as well. We'll go with Trent.
Yeah, so that means we have the exact same back fours. So I have Trent, Diaz, Bonucci, and Cancelo as well. I don't think it's too hard to pick, to be honest. Like I seen in FIFA's one, it was Hakimi was in, and I'm a big fan of Hakimi, but I'm surprised at that. You know what I mean? I think Trent's
don't
been,
deserve it, man. They don't deserve it. I don't know
Yeah.
who's voting for them, but Hakimi's good, but I don't think he would deserve it over someone like Trent or even Reece James.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain it's a fan vote, which kind of makes it a bit more expected. You know what I mean? Hakimi with the move to Man City to PSG, and if you're a FIFA user, he's a very usable player. You know what I mean? Like he's quick, he has good crossing and passing wise, and he's like that in reality as well. To be fair, he's a cracking player. Yeah, I just think Trent, and we've seen this season, he breaks his own records, which I find amazing. You know what I mean? So he went from the most assists by a defender in the Premier League season was 10. And then he broke that the season we won the league when he got 12. And I think he's broken that this season with 13 already. And there's half a season to play. So he's a cracking player, Trent. Will I pick my midfield?
Yeah, you go for it.
So I've gone with N'Golo Kante. I've gone with Marco Verratti. And a bit of a surprise inclusion. I'll probably get slayed for this. But I think Pedri.
Yeah, he did play the most games of 2021.
Yeah. He was absolutely everywhere this year for Barcelona and Spain. And when he wasn't playing for Barcelona, when he was injured, I think the drop off was significant. And when he came on against Real Madrid a couple of weeks ago, he was unbelievable. And I was going to pick Jorginho, but I thought you would, and I thought you'd probably pick Kante and Verratti as well. So it's like I want to be something different. So yeah, I think Pedri's only going to get better as well. By the way, he's such a good player.
So I'm just going to go with Jorginho. Well, regardless of what people say and regardless of what people think, he won the Euros and he won the Champions League. You know what I mean? And I think that's the best season that a midfielder can have. And I don't think it's a coincidence that he was in the team. He started in both finals as well. And he was in the team for both of them consistently. It wasn't like he was just a bench player. He was starting the games. So he has to have some influence, regardless of what people think of him. I do think he does a good job in controlling the tempo of the game. And I think that's what some people wouldn't really pick up on, but I think he did that well for both Italy and Chelsea. But I'll go for him, and I'll go for Kante because he got the man of the match in every Champions League game he played in. I think something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, every knockout game I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think he's one of my favourites ever. And when he goes, it's going to be very sad because he's reaching the tail end now, 31 or 2.
Yeah.
Now, I wasn't overly impressed with Verratti, to be honest. Do you know what? I'll go with Barella. I'll go with Barella.
Okay.
Because I thought he was very good for Italy when he from start to finish the tournament.
Yeah, I just think Verratti for me, man. And don't get me wrong, Jorginho, it's no coincidence that he was involved in both teams that won the Euros and Champions League, not at all. But I do find he's a product of kind of the system. And I think there's a few players like that. I think, look, not that it's a problem. Like, if he wasn't there, the system wouldn't work as well, you know, kind of way.
That would be my point.
But I do think Verratti's much better. And I just think Verratti's a better player. And I don't think Jorginho had a bad year at all. But I personally I rate Verratti higher than I do Jorginho.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm going to give left wing to Chiesa. What a player, man. What a
Yeah.
player.
Great tournament.
Every time I watched him, he's been absolutely sensational. You know what I mean? He's a fantastic talent, and he's going to be around for years to come, I think. He's just a flair player you want your team.
Yeah.
And for Italy, I think a lot of the success Italy had is due to him, and it's down to him. So I'll give it to him. And then striker, I'm going to give it to Lewandowski. Sorry. He's had a fantastic season as well. I think he had the most goals in 2021 or something. So you have to give it to him. And then I'll go with Salah right wing. And you know what? Because I caused so much uproar at Messi last time I picked Salah right wing, I'm going to throw him in instead of Barella. So my midfield three will be Jorginho, Kante, and Messi just in front of them, playing behind the striker, which is Lewandowski, and then Chiesa on the left wing, with Salah on the right wing. There you go. Hope that makes the Messi stand happy.
Your love for Federico Chiesa will never be unmatched, Cran. I'll give you that. I'm going to give my front three, Cran. Salah on the right, Lewandowski through the middle, and Lionel Messi off the left. That is my front three, Cran. Like, imagine coming up against those three in a game, man. Imagine coming up against those three. You wouldn't have a hope. Look, they're all self-explanatory. I think Salah he's kind of hitting a form now where you're kind of like, what else can he do? Or what can't he do, to be honest? Lewandowski, again, self-explanatory. He's probably the best striker in the world. And then Messi, look, he won Player of the Year, so you have to have him in there as well. So my
he's never
team,
played left wing though.
come here, but he doesn't play in midfield three either though. My team in total then, Gran, is Donnarumma in goal, Trent, Diaz, Bonucci, Cancelo as back four, Kante, Verratti, Pedri in the middle, and Salah, Lewandowski, and Lionel Messi up front. Gran.
My starting team of the year, Edward Mendy in goal. I'll go for Cancelo left back. Sorry, we'll go for Diaz, Bonucci centre backs. Right back, I'll go with Trent, and then in the middle we'll go with Jorginho, Kante, Lionel Messi playing just in front of them in midfield three, and then I'll go with Chiesa left wing, Lewandowski down the middle, and Salah right wing.
And Cran, this is probably a bit of a surprise here, but we pick three subs as well, will we? A defender, a midfielder, and a striker. So I'm gonna pick my three. I'll start with the striker. I'm gonna pick Karim Benzema. The form he's been in this year has been unbelievable. I think he's nearly like Madrid's second top goal scorer of all time or something like that. And he's just an unbelievable player. Midfielder, I'm going to give to Jude Bellingham because I think the potential this fella has is unbelievable, and I think if he comes to the Premier League next season, to whichever team, you're just going to enjoy it. You're going to enjoy every bit of it. And the defender I'm going with, Cran, is one Nathaniel Phillips of Liverpool. No explanation needed.
Right, yeah.
The Bolton Baresi. What a fella.
My three subs now. No, I'm going to go with Thiago Silva's son, Sonaldo, which will come to the surprise, but I think he carries Spurs, and I don't think he gets enough credit. So I'll go with Son. Do you know what? We'll go with CR7.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And that's our FIFA Team of the Year, folks. If I get it out, is this the second edition I get it? Third edition I get it out this year of 2022. And yeah, I think that's a wrap, isn't it? But yeah, in a week, Cran, we're Ghana, Algeria, the reigning champs, and the champions of our hearts, Sierra Leone, all dipped out at AFCON. The pubs in Ireland are back. We're live and direct. That was a good week, Cran.
Yeah. Now next week will be a lot better because we'll be back in person. Mm-hmm. It's kind of hard on Zoom. Yeah, I hope never to be on Zoom again. Don't know about you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's been a good podcast, Adzi. Good podcast. Again, if you are new, I was going to say you know what to do, but they don't.
Yeah,
TikTok,
well, that's why they're new.
Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify. LinkedIn. No, not yet. But yeah, follow us all on them. We're active. Adzi's active on TikTok. Yeah, we have viral Jose Sa going up at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's on about 14,500 views. So if you're one of the people who liked and viewed it and you're listening to this for the first time, thanks a million for listening. We really do appreciate it. Again, constantly hearing good things about the podcast makes me feel good. And yeah, as we keep saying, we teased it before Christmas. We do have big things coming. We do. And all will be revealed once Cran is riddled with COVID. And look, we love you all. Give your man a hug, give your dad a hug, tell them you love them.
Not if they have COVID.
Not if they have COVID. And we'll leave it there, so.
We'll leave it there, so.